What do you get when you put two Minnesotans and a guy from Wisconsin together? Twist. The Weekend Sports Talk. Get ready for some sports chatter where there's sure to be laughing, arguing, and maybe even crying. Now, here are your hosts, Mike Reeves, Matt Benz, and Greg Green Bay Bauman.
Welcome, man.
Yes, sir. Here we are. Episode 27, Fred Smoot. Welcome to Twist, the weekend sports talk. We got a beautiful day, an absolutely fantastic show. I told these guys, I'm banking on this is going to be our best show yet.
I'm intimidated. I mean, we got Leber coming on, and usually I'm the best looking guy in the show.
You better be intimidated. He eats pieces of shit like you for breakfast, Green Bay Greg. He doesn't play that. So let's fire it up with our first interview here with Ben Leber. He is a former linebacker for the Minnesota Vikings, and now is on K-Fan and an on-the-field analyst as well. Yeah. Welcome to the show, Ben. How are you?
I'm doing great, guys. How you guys doing?
Oh,
Fabulous.
We're just living the dream. We got Leber on. I mean, what's better than that? What's better?
I don't know what's better than that. I mean, you guys, if Donut Day fell on today, then it'd be like the perfect day.
Yes, yes. Maybe if there was college football on today, it might be a little bit better, but that's all right. We'll take what we can get right now. So, what have you been up to besides obviously, being on K-Fan and things like that during this crazy time in our lives? What have you been doing to keep yourself busy?
Oh boy, there was a time where my kids were in school and my wife and I, like a lot of parents, had to play homeschooling teacher. And that was an utter disaster. So we had to waste our time doing that. And, really outside of that, not much. I mean, I've been doing some stuff with the Vikings as well. So a lot of normal stuff for me this time of year, just sitting in my office and watching film and breaking things down and creating analysis and on some of the Vikings players and stuff. So a lot of draft pick stuff as well. I broke down a lot of the Vikings draft picks, just kind of the pros and cons of their game and what to look forward to. So really, nothing has really changed for me because this is kind of what I'd be doing in the off season anyway. And then I think the only new thing is I'm trying to pick up fly fishing. There's this idea that I've had in my head for a long time to learn how to throw a fly. I've done it a couple times, but I thought, hey, it'd be silly if I didn't use this time a little more productively. So I'm trying to get into that as well.
Awesome.
Do you have as much access to the Vikings, whether it's Zimmer or anyone else? Because, when they had OTAs, you were obviously a part of that, being able to show up there and stuff. But now that everything's virtual, do you have as much access to be able to contact them, or are you doing a lot of this stuff on your own?
No, I do a lot of stuff on my own. Even in normal times, I'll go out to practice every once in a while, but I try not to step on anybody's toes. I don't want to overstep my bounds. I think sometimes as former players, and I've seen this happen where guys, they feel like they have a right to be out there and to do kind of free roam around. And I certainly don't want to be that guy. So I'll go out to practice every once in a while. I'll talk to a few guys, but I maintain my space. And so during this time, it's even more so. I know the access is really restricted. And quite frankly, there's really nothing that for my job that I need to talk to these guys directly about that I can't get through the normal media channels.
Sure.
I think your job is perfect. Being a former player, you're on the field talking with these guys. They give you that kind of respect because you've been there and done it. I know me personally, I'm nervous you're going to leave us for greener pastures. So please don't do that. I'm a diehard KFAN listener. Yeah. You're a great addition, to all of those shows. You're just amazing. You were in the NFL. Obviously, you were great at your craft there, and you've transitioned that and elevated it to what you do now. So, I applaud you.
Yeah.
No, thank you. Thank you.
The big thing with me is that you responded to my DM and not Mike's DM. So that just right there puts me on a platter.
Unbelievable,
My
Ben.
stock in this show just went through the roof.
I think I sent it to you from the Twist one and then from Twist Host Mike. I don't know if his handle is cooler and just caught your attention
It's just the wording.
But I mean, you basically ruined my life with that.
I do apologize. I don't know the hows and whys of why that particular message that I responded to and did. I don't know. Okay, so maybe there's some confusion there, but Matt, as long as I can elevate your status, I'm all for it.
Oh man,
my handle's Green Bay Greg. I didn't even try.
Yeah, didn't even try. Yeah, no. I mean, you're even wearing the wrong colors for this podcast. It's all bad.
Excellent. So you got some Vikings questions, or can I?
Yeah, so I just wanted to dive in. We're gonna have a little fun after this, but I told them I got to talk, some purple. Wanted to talk draft picks. Obviously, with our first overall pick, Justin Jefferson out of LSU. Your first overall pick is going to be exciting, but I think he's actually going to fit the bill this year. It'll be, tough to step into a Stephon Diggs type role. But if anybody's going to do it, I really think he's probably one of the best receivers coming out of this class and is going to be great for us for a while. So I wanted to get your thoughts on him.
Yeah, no, he certainly gives us a great chance to do what we can to replace Stephon Diggs. I mean, it's going to be really tough. Stephon's one of the best route runners in the league. But he had to develop to get to that point. And I think it speaks volumes for the coaches that the Vikings have, that they've shown time and time again. It doesn't matter if it's Anthony Harris or all the work that the Andre Patterson's done on defense. You look at what they do with the wide receivers, even the running backs, and how Alexander Mattison, really elevated his game as the season went on. The coaches know how to develop, and you're getting such a polished product already out of college that no doubt that he's going to learn the nuance of being a wide receiver. And you watch his tape, and I know everybody's already talked about his flexibility being an outside receiver and a slot receiver. He's done both. He's excelled at a high level. And when I watch it, he already sort of understands how to create separation, especially at the top of the route. And that's really what it's all about. You keep hearing about his football IQ. He's a smart player. He understands already in that LSU pro style-ish offense in which Joe Brady's now going to run over in Carolina. He understands how to break down defenses already. And I think he's already there with the mental game. Now he's just got to put it all together, which is going to be tough for all these rookies. No OTAs. No mini camp, there's no this feeling out period. They're just going to have to jump right in, and there's going to be a lot of pressure on him to succeed early on. But I think he's going to be well on his way. I think after the first half of the season, I think he's going to be a really dynamic wide receiver.
Greg's brought it up before. He thinks Green Bay takes us at home just for the mere fact that our team is so young, that it's going to take time, but that when we go to Lambeau, that's the game the Vikings get. And a lot of that is on the cornerback side of the ball, where we got Gladney in the first round, Cam Dantzler in the third, and both of them are really going to need to come in and play a starting role right away. Do you think it'll take time for them? Will they be effective in helping us out right away?
Boy, it's tough. It's tough to say. I mean, I was a big fan of Gladney even before the draft started. I took some time to break down some cornerbacks that may be in that 22 range late in the first round, and Gladney was definitely one of the guys that I targeted, and I was really hopeful that the Vikings get him. So I was pumped. I was pumped when the Vikings grabbed him, and I think you're going to find a player that has the tenacity that you're looking for. He's very, I don't want to say cocky, but he's very confident in the way he plays. He's very physical in the way he plays, and that's exactly what Zim wants. Now, everybody says that cornerback in Mike Zimmer's system takes a while to understand. Terrence Newman even talked about it. So I do believe that there is going to be this time in the first quarter, first third of the season where these guys are going to get picked on, and they're going to have to take their lumps. And unfortunately, teams that have veteran quarterbacks and veteran wide receivers that understand the NFL game, they're going to have an advantage over our defense. But I'm hopeful that our veteran linebackers, Daniil and the guys up front, the additions of Michael Pierce and all that stuff, if they can stop the run, that we always say, if they can stop the run early on the early downs, you're going to give your secondary a chance. So that's my only hope with playing the Packers first, because if you look at it on paper, I'm with you. I mean, they should torch this secondary.
Yeah. So my big question is, switching from NFL to college, have you heard anything about the upcoming plans for the NCAA having a season?
The only thing that I've heard is, just following the conferences. The SEC in the South early on said, we're planning to have football. We just need to open our universities up, and we'll see what that looks like. And they, before anybody else, jumped on board and said, we're going to bring our students back, and we're going to have all of our spring sports and our fall sports start to get back on campus. So what that looks like attendance-wise, I don't know. But it's nice to have a juggernaut like the SEC sort of leading the charge, because everybody knows that that's the premier conference, and what they do, I think a lot of other conferences are going to follow. And I think it won't be long before all the Power 5 conferences and teams agree to bring football back to some capacity. We don't know what it's going to look like with fans, but I'm 99% sure we're going to have football at the college and NFL level just as we know it, but the audience may just be a little bit smaller.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do with you is basically ask you a couple of your favorites, right? Okay. So, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, what is your favorite restaurant to go out to? Not fast food. What one is when you can sit down, which is coming soon? Yeah. Where are you going?
Dude, I'm a carnivore, man. I like meat. And I know this probably won't go over well in the Twin Cities because it's a chain restaurant, but I'm a big fan of Capitol Grill.
Okay.
If I'm gonna go out, and my wife and I are gonna go out or with some friends, and I want a great steak and a hell of a wedge salad, then I'm gonna go to Capitol Grill to drink their Stoli Dolis, their pineapple infused vodka that tastes like water. That's probably the place. And the thing is, it's sort of nostalgic for me, because my wife and I met at Kansas State, and my first big nice dinner that I was able to afford in college was the Capitol Grill in the Plaza area of Kansas City, and I thought I was balling. I'm like, oh hell yeah, like yeah, $40 steak, fine, who cares? Like, it's a night out. Like, that's no big deal. Even though, like, I'm sweating looking at the menu, like, oh my god, it's like $18 for a salad. Like, what the hell?
Awesome.
So that's the place I like to go to.
Greg?
All right, yeah. Actually, to follow up on that one, of all your former teammates, who would you want to? Who's your favorite to just sit down and have a beer with or dinner with?
Oh man, my favorite to just sit. Everybody knows Greenway and I are really close. So he and I just get along on a whole different level. He's the guy that we can just sit down and we can, take the guard, take the shield down a little bit, loosen up. I can speak the way I want to with him, and he can with me, and not feel threatened in any way. So he's probably first and foremost, but we had a tight little group of guys. Brooks Bollinger, still a good friend of mine. Jim Kleinsasser, hilarious. Jared Allen, hilarious. You guys opened the show with Fred Smoot. I mean, he's not that I would probably we were tight enough to like sit down and have a beer with, but you want to talk about one of the funniest MFers I've ever been around. Like, he made practice so fun. Like, he was always talking shit, like always talk. And it didn't matter if he was on the field or if he was on the sidelines and the offense is on the field. This dude is yapping back and forth, and he gets everybody else yakking and laughing. That guy, sit down for 10 minutes with that guy and you'll just be in stitches.
That's awesome.
So you're actually our fifth Viking that we've been blessed enough to have on the show. Our first one was Chuck Foreman. We did a live show at a restaurant, had him on. We've had Corey Withrow, Gus Farrat, Michael Bennett, and now you. So we've been extremely appreciative. We've had no Green Gay Packers. So what's your favorite Viking of all time, player?
Oh boy, I'm a big fan of Carl Eller. You know, there's you meet the guy even now, and obviously he's a little bit more broken down, but that dude, I think if his knees and his back could handle it, I think he would still throw people around. Like he's one of those guys that you understand in his generation why he dominated the way he did, and he's this specimen, and I know that he's got this football temperament. I would have loved to have seen him play in his prime and be on his team. John Randall's another guy, obviously that is, you know, iconic, fun to watch, you know, trash talking stud. So those two guys sort of pop into my head because I just like the style of which they play. I like the personality that they brought. And, you know, obviously having a chance to meet them and be around him, you know, Eller's a great dude.
Yeah, they made blocking schemes back then for Eller that are still used today. They changed the way blocking was made because he was just so good at what he did.
Yeah, he's a beast.
All right, I'm going to put this one on a tee for you. What is your favorite alcoholic beverage?
Douglas and Todd bourbon.
Excellent. Where can our viewers and listeners get access to Douglas and Todd?
Yeah, no, thanks for bringing that up. That was a really big shiny tee and a huge golf ball that we just put out there. Yeah, man. You know, Douglas and Todd, we have a partnership. I mean, we took this grassroots approach to this all Minnesota bourbon, and we love just getting the word out that it's a sustainable, you know, eco-friendly bourbon. They take all the grain that's produced 30 miles from Osakis. They distill it there. All the leftover mash and everything goes back into the cattle feed. So it's a really low carbon emission process. It's bottled in Princeton and distributed really throughout the country. And you know, it's won gold medals in San Francisco for taste. And it's an outstanding bourbon that's, you know, surprisingly made in Minnesota. So we're trying to buck the trend of that great bourbons have to come from Kentucky. We think we're well on the way to having a bourbon that people are really proud of.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate you coming on. I hope we can get you on in the future as well, Ben.
Hold on.
Oh, go ahead.
Hold the hell on, Matt.
Here we go. I forgot.
Uh-oh.
All right, Leber. I can't leave the show without having Twist Nation see this live. I got to beat you in something.
Okay.
All right. So I got a coin here. That's our secondary one. Get your fists up. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Damn it. Best out of 3. Best out of 3. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Oh!
Here we go. Yeah!
You saw it?
Woo!
You went around the horn. I didn't think you were going to go around the horn.
I did
I was like, he's not going to go. The Rock is too obvious.
I know.
So you know now, Leber, on his Twitter page, you will see that he...
Twist Toast Mike is going to put in his area rock, paper, scissors champion against at Nacho Liber.
There you go.
He's going to buy a ring for it.
I won't respond. Could you have Matt?
I have evidence.
We already know he won't respond to you. Thanks again, Ben. You have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll talk soon.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it. Oh, Ben Leber. Rock, paper, scissors, champ, baby.
Oh,
I didn't even have to bust out the
coin.
coin. I had another one where if both failed, I was going to have them guess a number. Wrong. Wrong.
Excellent.
Oh, that was great. We appreciate Ben
within the
Leber.
last
You can
3
find
hours.
him on Twitter at Nacho Liber.
Yeah.
Check him out on Sundays, interviewing all the players, and mostly every day on KFAN.
A fan.
We are going to get into another quick hitter, a topic that's been on the media everywhere, and that's the murder of George Floyd.
Yeah.
We do have our Twist retainer lawyer on the video, mic'd up and ready to roll. So we're going to talk to him about the charges that came to some of these police officers.
What's
John
up,
Davis.
Nation?
Yeah.
Oh, he's
baby.
got his
Look at
twist hat on.
You know what it is? Yep.
Man, welcome in, buddy.
Coming live to you from Greg's favorite spot.
There it is. There it is, right outside the bank.
The bank.
Oh, that's right. You know, after Leber went down, I think they're going to light that place up.
Oh man. Oh.
Well, we appreciate you coming on. Like I said, we gave a little talk about it. You know, this week the other 3 cops were charged. You should slide the other way, John, so we can see you in the light there.
Oh,
There you go. Perfect. Can you just break down some of those charges and talk a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, so it's been a pretty interesting week. It started out as a case that was being headed up by the Hennepin County Attorney's Office. Hennepin County Attorney Mike Freeman decided to charge Derek Chauvin alone with third-degree murder. And obviously there was a lot of resentment, uproar by the community, the country in general, that the other 3 officers involved weren't charged at all or hadn't been charged, along with a lot of criticism by the defense community and the community in general about the ability of the state to achieve a conviction for those third-degree murder charges. So Attorney General Keith Ellison got appointed to the case, and now he's handling the prosecution, and they increase those charges. Derek Chauvin obviously is the person that's been villainized and infamously posted in that still frame shot of him on George Floyd's neck. And he was the field training officer that day, which adds a very interesting twist to this case, no pun intended, because you know what we've now found out is that 2 of the other officers were really you know, young in their experience. One of the officers, it was his 3rd shift. The other officer, Thomas Lane, it was his 4th day on the job. And so I want to get into that a little bit and what are some of the potential defenses that these officers could use. And against popular opinion, you know, they're pretty strong defenses in this sense. And so, you know, one thing I'll mention is as awful and horrendous as this is, you know, especially just the conduct of all of them in the sense that nobody stopped and exited the situation and showed much humanitarian thought in stopping what was going on. But this Alexander Kuning, you know, he's taking orders every moment of his shift as a trainee from Derek Chauvin. And so the other officer as well, Thomas Lane, same thing. Now, from early reports of what transpired based on what's gone on in court, and I personally haven't seen the police reports or the files, but what you can hear is that one of these 2 officers was like, "Hey, we should roll him over. You know, we should sit him up." And Chauvin is like, "No, we're gonna restrain him until the ambulance gets here." The other officer went along with that, and there was an interview by Lane's attorney Earl Gray, basically saying, "Listen, you have to have some sort of criminal intent to aid and abet second-degree murder." All 3 of the other officers, just so you know, were charged with aiding and abetting second-degree murder and aiding and abetting second-degree manslaughter. And those are 2 charges that are now on the head officer, Derek Chauvin's complaint. But his aren't aiding and abetting, his are effectuating. And what they're saying in the second-degree murder is that he killed George Floyd without intent while committing third-degree assault, which is inflicting substantial bodily harm onto another human being. So the difference between a 5th-degree assault, which is a misdemeanor, and a 3rd-degree assault can be broken down like this. If you do an act or actually effectuate an action that causes somebody to either have a reasonable fear of bodily harm or actual bodily harm. So if I punch Mike in the shoulder and it hurts, that's a 5th-degree assault. Yeah, take that, Mike. But if you cause substantial bodily harm, that elevates it to a felony, which is 3rd-degree assault. And so, for example, if I punch Mike in the nose and his nose gets broken, breaking a bone, that's substantial bodily harm. Now there's 1st-degree assault, which is, you know, grave bodily harm. You know, you put somebody in a coma, their brain starts bleeding, and that's much more serious. But what they're saying here is that they were causing substantial bodily harm to Chauvin, and then he died. So in that case, now you don't need intent. You don't need to wake up that morning wanting to kill somebody. and you don't need to wake up planning to kill George Floyd. A lot of people want first-degree murder. Well, if you think about that, I mean, you literally would have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Derek Chauvin woke up and was like, I'm going to kill George Floyd today. And that is not what happened, right? You know, it's also a lot easier to have these officers, you know, held accountable if they're helping somebody achieve something that doesn't take intent. You know, there's a lot to learn here. They have some really good attorneys. You know, Thomas Plunkett is representing Alexander Kuhn. The other officer, this Tu Tao, he had been on the force and had some previous complaints, but he was the officer standing over to the side. He wasn't one of the officers restraining George Floyd. But he also doesn't have the arguments of, well, you know, how was I supposed to know? Like the two trainee officers did. So look for Earl Grey and Thomas Plunkett to really harp on the flat fact that the officers were just doing what they were told to do, and a reasonable officer would follow the orders of their commanding officer. And if you think about it from a practical standpoint, like, hey, I'm training here at Subway, and the manager told me I need to clean the oven. You know, I'm not supposed to know that there's a gas leak. I just want to keep my job.
I would say the manager's making a sandwich without gloves, so then I'll make a sandwich without gloves.
Exactly. So you know, well, you know, Greg Green Bay Chauvin over there.
Yes! Man.
Wow. But really, guys, you know, this is there's a lot of other, you know, aspects to this case. You know, I'm sure that there's a higher risk of danger to the lawyers that are defending these officers, right? You have a whole community, a whole nation. I mean, you have the mayor of Minneapolis already saying this officer murdered George Floyd, which I agree with personally. But you know, it's a tough judicial atmosphere when the governor, the mayors, the NAACP, the entire city of Minneapolis, and the entire world are screaming justice for George Floyd. There's not a venue you can transfer to that isn't affected by the sentiment of this case. So really, really brave of these criminal defense lawyers to sign on to this case in the first place. And then also just really challenging because, you know, you can't be a human being and watch that video and not think to yourself, these guys need to be held accountable. It's very hard. But at the same time, it's there's a lot of rules of law here, and there's a lot of maxims that come into play that aren't obvious to the naked eye that could produce a result that'll be really easy for people to turn around and say the system is racist, the system, you know, these cops are always going to walk. I just want people to remember that, you know, there's a process here, and the process are specifically tailored to these facts under specific laws. I sure hope they're all held accountable from a personal standpoint. Will that happen from well-being of our city? I hope it does, but that's not the standard.
And John, the big thing that I've been listening to is that even if these charges don't give them a substantial amount of time to serve, the civil rights lawsuit that's coming behind it will carry the most amount of time.
So I don't think so, but maybe I'm wrong. But from my understanding, the civil rights lawsuit is more gonna cost the city of Minneapolis a pretty penny. Yeah, that's the money. But if you look at it's pretty interesting. You know, the coroner's report. The city of Minneapolis is in charge of the medical examiner's office, right? The city of Minneapolis is liable for the actions of the police officers as agents of the Minneapolis Police Department, which is a Minneapolis entity. So when they, you know, unloaded that first report saying, well, he was a drug addict, he had fentanyl, he had hypertension in his heart, high blood pressure, all that did was set a ton of excuses for defense attorneys to you know, create holes in the chain of beyond a reasonable doubt. And why is that? Well, that's a pretty hefty civil rights judgment coming to their way. And then on top of it, you know, nobody wants to pay that bill. And so it's about money, you know, and that's why it was very smart of the family to order an independent autopsy, which then was like, yes, he died of asphyxiation. Well, why did they find that? Well, because that coroner doesn't have to. His boss isn't telling him we got to pay this bill if that's what you find. Just alarming discrepancies, and you can really see the bias. And so it makes you wonder how other cases have been handled where there was potentially wrongdoing by the officers, something that we're going to have to look into.
We got a question here from one of our viewers. We are a live interactive show here at Twist. Does it matter if Chauvin and Floyd knew each other and interacted at the bar they worked at together?
Potentially, right? You can know somebody and not have a problem with them. You can know somebody and there could have been a huge incident in two of their lives where one of them upset the other one, and then all of a sudden it's very relevant. Until we know more information, unfortunately, the answer is potentially.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long process, and we'll have you back on to explain to our listeners and viewers, and we appreciate you coming on. Where can they find you if they get themselves in a little trouble, John?
If you find yourself in a little trouble, give me a call, send me a text, 612-298-7136. I'm downtown, 333 South 7th Street, right across the street from the Government Center. You can look me up on Facebook, John Thomas Daly, or my law firm, Daly and Marouche. Or you can call my law partner, Abby, 952-212-0394. She's usually the boss around here, so I'd stick with her.
Yeah.
Appreciate it, John. Take it easy.
John.
Hey, guys, love the show. Take it easy.
Thanks.
Oh, that was great. And as always, both of those interviews were brought to you by Bricks Boatworks. Oh,
They're
yeah.
going to focus more on the boats, less on the hose.
That's true.
Bricks.
They'll fix the boat so you can go get the hose.
Oh, twist. All right. Headlines for the week. Let's get it going here. Number 1, Kevin Durant rules himself out for the remainder of the 2019-2020 season. Kevin Durant told ESPN's The Undefeated on Friday that he will not debut for the Brooklyn Nets during the 2019-2020 NBA season after it resumes next month. Durant has not played since he tore his Achilles tendon last June during Game 5 of the NBA Finals. Number 2, MLB players say teams depriving America of baseball games.
Swing, bada.
Players responded on Sunday, proposing a 114-game regular season schedule running through October and no additional cuts. Each player would get about 70% of his original salary under the union's plan and roughly 22 to 47% under MLB's proposal. MLB claims that by playing in empty ballparks, they would lose $640,000 each game. The union has challenged MLB's analysts. Number 3, Minnesota Vikings Kyle Rudolph organizes essential goods drive with Timberwolves and Gophers. Yeah, good job. That was a Friday event, which saw a steady stream of hundreds coming out as early as 9:30 a.m. Had a handful of Vikings players there as well. Daniil Hunter, Adam Thielen, Garrett Bradbury, Avante Collins, Chad Beebe, Cameron Smith, and even Jake Browning. He's still on the team.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Do you know what the Green Bay tight end's organizing? A kegger.
Yeah, and they're
Believe it.
Anyway, back to you, Matt.
Also, they had help from Timberwolves guard Josh Okogie, Malik Beasley, and even the Golden Gophers showed up. And you know who else dropped in? PJ Fleck.
Of course he did. Elite move.
Number 4, NHL still hopeful to start end of July.
Puck.
I don't know about it. But while the NHL and its players continue to negotiate a deal to resume the paused 2019-2020 season, the league has unveiled plans to transition to phase 2 of its plan to resume.
How do you skate on water? It's summer.
Yeah, well,
explain that, Matt.
It's refrigeration, really. You know, the underneath the ice is cooled, and that's what makes it freeze. Did you know that a Zamboni actually puts down hot water, not cold?
I did not.
Hot water freezes faster than cold.
Unbelievable.
Wow. There's a fun fact for you, and that's the headlines for the week.
Wow.
Boom.
Thank you.
No problem.
Speaking of fun facts.
Oh,
You got
favorite part of the show.
You got something better than hot water freezes faster than cold?
How do you think I get so smart?
You're about to find the hell out,
Here we
right?
go.
I can't think of what happened on this day in history.
Today in history. In 1889, the Great Fire in Seattle destroys 25 downtown blocks. It was not caused by riot. 1925, Walter Chrysler founds the automobile manufacturer Chrysler Corporation. In 1944, World War II, all Major League Baseball games are canceled in honor of the D-Day landing in northern France. In 1946, the Basketball Association of America is formed in New York City. Greg was there holding up a sign. 1949, It Pays to Be Ignorant game show debut on CBS TV. It was starring a Green Bay fan.
I was going to say, it pays to be ignorant. Matt, were you the
1965, Rolling Stones single, I Can't Get No Satisfaction. Am I singing that
You're
right?
off meddling.
I know.
That's all right.
You know.
I can't get no.
Isn't that what your fiance picked
No,
for your wedding song?
no. Yeah, that's what you said.
Oh,
That's gonna be our first dance at our wedding.
low blow.
Way to go, Greg.
1966, NFL and AFL announce their merger. 1969, Joe Namath resigns from the NFL after Pete Rozelle, football commissioner at the time, said he must sell his stake in a bar due to his alcoholism.
Yep.
Made
1971,
a choice.
Willie Mays hits record 22nd and last
Say.
extra inning home run. 1971,
Good year.
The Ed Sullivan Show, last broadcast on CBS.
Ouch.
1977, Roll It Up, Doobie Brothers sponsor a golf classic in concert for the United Way. 1983, the Twins draft pitcher Tim Belcher, number 1.
Ouch.
1983, I put this in here just so I can say this. Octopussy, 13th James Bond film starring Roger Moore, Maude Adams, and Louis Jordan premieres in London. Octopussy.
Great flick. Bond. James Bond.
Shaken, not stood. 1987, the New York Yankees play their 13,000th game. Unbelievable. 1991, NBC announces Jay Leno will succeed Johnny Carson as host on The Tonight Show on May 25th, 1992.
Nice.
1992, New York Met Eddie Murray sets RBI record by a switch hitter. Good for you, Eddie.
Nice.
1998, Greg's favorite TV show of all time, Sex in the City, premieres in the U.S. on HBO. He didn't have an HBO account, though. He was broke.
Chicks dig it.
2018, my boy, LeBron James, eclipses Michael Jordan's record of 109 for the most 30-point games in NBA playoff history.
LeBron James.
In a Cleveland Cavaliers 110-102 Game 3 finals loss
Do you just
to the Golden State Warriors.
You just-
We're out of time, Greg.
Do you Google this day in history keyword of LeBron James?
No, he's just in so many historic moments. That's what it is.
Right?
Right? Let's rant it up.
Let's rant. Who wants to start?
Go ahead, Matt.
Okay, I'll start. Mine is going to be based on the MLB. Union head Tony Clark previously told The Athletic that in a meeting Sunday, Commissioner Rob Manfred informed the union, we can pay you 100% of salary right now.
Liar.
Okay. So why do you say you can pay the players 100% of their salary, but yet you're haggling? Why would you let that out and about? The MLB is burning a hot trash dumpster fire right now because they can't come to an agreement. The players are so far off, and as is the owners are so far off. All these other, NHL is struggling as well, but you see NBA getting after it. You see NFL getting after it because they realize that it's their job as players to play, but also it's the job as owners to pay. You can't play without the pay. So MLB, get your life together. And with that, I pass. You like that?
Yep. So Benzie mentioned it in his sports headlines.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant's a bitch. He will not return to the Nets this season per Adrian Wojnarowski. He's not played at all this season. He had an Achilles injury in the Warriors finals. Okay. First off, the Nets brought him on, paid him a max contract, and paid him $30 million this season just because they wanted him. You're hurt for a year? Fine. Here's $30 million. Now we've had this pandemic. It obviously stretched out the season, so some of these players that were hurt are now not. Now, we haven't heard anything. That fucker's fine, okay? If he's medically cleared to play and he doesn't, he should be kicked off to Russia to play for one of their leagues, all right? You don't see my boy LeBron James pulling shenanigans like this. He is not listed ever once of one of the greatest of all times because he wears a thong underneath his basketball shorts. He's a pansy. You want to talk about LeBron going to the Heat? Oh, okay. Durant had to go to the best team ever created by God himself to get a ring. And he wasn't even the best player on the team. You suck. Go away. I hate your face. I almost ripped up another sheet.
In the pregame, he was wearing
gotta
a skirt
stop
underneath his things. Now it's a thong.
Yeah.
You're getting madder and madder as this episode's going on.
He's not a fan.
He was born of the vagina. Oh, I'm done.
All right. So my rant is on, some of the fallout from, what's been going on the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And Vic Fangio actually said that the NFL does not have racism and they're a meritocracy. Wow. They have a Rooney rule, for God's sakes, you jackass. They have a rule in place because there's racism. For the love of God, you have 4 black head coaches. Here's the thing, though, and I'm a problem solver. Here's your solution. Don't worry so much when you're the Nick Fangios of the world about, what you're going to say, unless you start saying things appropriately. Here's a big one. You have a guy like Cam Newton. When he's getting drafted in his first year and analysts are asking, who do we compare him to? Who do we compare him to? What's the first name that comes up? Randall Cunningham or Dante Culpepper or another black quarterback. Well, here's the thing. Cam Newton is a spitting image of Ben Roethlisberger. Athletic, huge, can fight off defenders and can run and get that first down.
Or he's not a spitting image. He's black.
Well, yeah, okay, but from a player standpoint. But my point is that if you want to stop, just the essential racism that's in the NFL, start comparing players to who they're actually like, and especially with quarterbacks. Don't think, he's a black quarterback, so who's the other black quarterback I can compare him to? Because I'll tell you what, Russell Wilson reminds me a whole hell of a lot of Drew Brees, not Michael Vick. Start looking and comparing guys not based on skin color. And then you can get rid of some of this inherent, racism that's out there. So Vic Fangio, you know what? From now on, when it comes to racism, just take a pass and sit this one out. That's all I got.
That's the worst thing you can do, though. And a lot of these old school white coaches try and sweep it under the rug like it's not there.
Right.
And the country is burning because of people like
say
him.
It's not there.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They just rather be like, we're not racist. There's no racism when there clearly is.
Yeah.
Like, just call it for what it is. I mean, you're not doing anybody any favors. Good job.
Good job.
I actually just wanted to say the word meritocracy.
Yeah, we know.
Good for you, Webster.
Speaking of racism, elite white people.
What?
Fromm wrote in a text from 2019, but no guns are good. They need to let me get suppressors, before adding, just make them very expensive so only elite white people can get them. Say what the?
Yikes.
Jake Fromm.
See, now, on one hand, I think to myself, I've said a lot of stupid things in my life, and I'm sure a lot of it could come back and really bite me in the keister. But for the love of God, this was a year ago, dude. You were known around the country as a college football player who was going to get drafted in the NFL. By this point in your life, someone should be in your ear saying, you know what, dude? Might want to watch what you say or watch what you tweet. Like, what's his name? Like Herm Edwards says, don't press send.
Beautiful. Yeah, I'm glad he didn't go in the first round.
Yeah, me too. I want to twist fishbowl bet because of that.
Ouch.
All right, folks, buckle up. Buckle up.
What do we got?
It's my favorite time of the show. Your two competitors and Doge. will be
Twist Benz.
head-to-head in the rapid fire initial game.
Yeah.
Your initial this week is D. D for dumb. Greg, give me that pen. All right.
Which I stole from your company anyway.
Good. We do make pens here at Minuteman Press.
Plug.
Rapid fire initial game. Your names are your buzzers. The letter D. Neat in appearance and dressing.
Greg, dapper.
That's right.
Yep. Good job.
Good job, Greg. We'll just go G. Don't look, dude.
Oh,
you
here
freaking
we
cheater.
Not looking. You want a piece of paper?
He's not looking. Okay, we're going to review this. Terry
Ma.
Michaels, you're on it. D. To his team.
Matt. Dolphins.
Ties it up. Where you at, Doge? Come on now. Roof, roof.
Greg, dog.
That's right.
Oh, yeah. The Kentucky.
Matt. Derby.
That's right.
Ties it up. A place you go to sober up.
Greg.
Matt.
Oh,
Detox.
That's right.
A road trip consists of a lot of.
Greg. Driving.
That's right.
We got a 3-3 tie. A popular drink with strawberry.
Greg.
Greg.
Daiquiri.
That's right. A popular city in Minnesota.
Greg.
Greg.
Duluth.
That's right.
A state.
Matt.
It's the only one of its kind.
Delaware. Oh, thank God.
Wow.
I had the click. Yeah.
This is a West Coast ball team.
Greg.
Greg.
Dodgers.
That's right.
Man.
All right, let's get it here. We got 4 Bens, 6
Yeah.
Greg, with 5 to go. A hockey team.
Greg. Ducks.
Based out of New Jersey.
Matt.
Matt.
Devils. Thanks for putting that one on it, T.
Jesus.
Yeah.
5-6 with 4 to go. This is good. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood.
Matt. Dodgeball.
That's right.
Ties it up. When a marriage fails.
Greg.
Oh, he knows this one.
Divorce.
To take the lead with divorce. If you are getting a divorce, call Abby at Daly and Marouche. 2 questions to go. Greg's up 7-6. Hostess chocolate cake with a cream filling.
Greg. Ding dong.
And that's for the win.
Not a sweet
And
Scott.
my favorite question to end it off, a woman's pleasure toy.
Matt.
Matt.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I won on the other one.
Mom. Earmuffs.
That's right, dildo.
Matt said dildo.
I didn't say it. Mike did. Your favorite.
Well, Green Bay Greg with the victory. Good for you.
Congratulations, Greg. Good for you, bud.
Good for you.
How come Ducks wasn't a window? Or wasn't a point?
Those
And
were
hockey.
Devils.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't the right answer.
Because it wasn't an
So
answer.
we have to know
Because
the
he
correct
said
answer
so.
and read Mike's mind.
Yeah, good luck.
Put your hands together for the twist topics of the week.
All right, let's fire them away. We got some good topics this week, fellas.
Yeah.
Should the
Twist
Vikings
topic number 1.
sign Colin Kaepernick?
Now, before we give our opinion, I got some stats for you.
Bring it.
All right. So, in Cap's career as a starter, he went 28-30. Okay. So, he's not a winning quarterback per se. Well, factual.
Yes.
All right. He last played in 2016 where he went 1-10. He did rush 69 times.
How many?
69 times for 468 yards. Our current backup as the Vikings is Sean Mannion. He has never won a game he started in the NFL. He's 0-2. He has never thrown an NFL regular season touchdown, and he has rushed for negative 17 yards in his career.
Wow.
All right. So should the Vikings sign Kaepernick? My opinion is going to be no. And it's not because of who he is as a person. It's because you have better options like Cam Newton, Matt Moore, who beat us last year with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I was there.
Kyle Sloter, who knows the offense for the most part.
Kyle Sloter's gone.
Or how about Blake Bortles? He's
All right.
still available.
How about Greg?
Yeah, I could sling the rock. I think that the Minnesota Vikings would be the worst team for him based on all of this that's going on, started in Minneapolis, and you don't exactly have a quarterback who's the most beloved guy in the NFL. So you're going to get the fans that would be saying, Kirk Cousins has one bad pass. People are going to be saying, bring in Kaepernick. I think that the team that he should go to, at least for the first year, is a team like Seattle that has an established quarterback that plays the same style he does. So after the first year, kind of like Jameis Winston, it's like go 1 year, and then now that you kind of figured out how to do this again, because it's been 4 years off, he can kind of get other options. But I think that Minnesota is politically and football-wise the worst place possible for him to go.
So I did this question based on a quote on Fansided. The situation in Minnesota right now offers a unique opportunity to deal with the symbols of racial injustice. As a small but important step, the owners of the Minnesota Vikings, Ziggy and Mark Wilf, can send a strong message by offering Colin Kaepernick a contract to play with the Vikings. Bring him into camp. Treat him like any other players given a chance to play the game they love. That's what I liked about it is he doesn't need to make the team to compete against Kirk Cousins. You bring him into camp, and if he sucks, he's gone. But it just shows a different type of deal here where it did all start. Maybe you sign him. He doesn't make the team and our buildings stop burning down.
Okay.
So just a different perspective.
Yeah.
Twist topic number 2.
Sticking in the same area, same part of the sandbox, what's your take on the NFL players kneeling this year? Greg, we'll start with you.
If that's the time of the game when they want to do that, obviously there's now enough evidence that these guys are all unified with that. I think I think it's okay. I think it's that silent protest that they want to do. I almost wish that there was another opportunity where it wasn't during the time when people, show respect to the flag, where there was another time where they could, show that silent, but there's not. So you know what? If they want to do that, as long as they're still respectful during that time, I'm all for it. Go nuts.
And
we're not putting a Cowboys helmet on the table, Michael LeBlanc. Maybe you should focus on your show prep first and don't say that the NBA has reportedly said they're doing a March Madness tournament 3 days before anything's been solidified. As you now know, the playoff format will be standard like always. Back to you, Matt.
All right. So based off of what Greg said about the kneeling, I think that for me personally, when Cap was doing it, I was totally misinformed, right? My take on it was that he was disrespecting the flag when really it has minimal to do with the flag. Cap talked about what it represented, what the flag represents to him, but really they're not kneeling because they're disrespecting the flag. They're kneeling because of what's going on in the country. So I'm totally okay with that at this point, and I'm glad that I'm more informed on this day.
So a cool bit that they could do is take a moment of silence before the national anthem where everybody takes a kneel. But what I think is going to happen is it's not just going to be the players. It's going to be the owner up in the box. It's going to be the coaches on the field. It's going to be the fans in the stands, all in solidarity together kneeling. President Trump can come out and say whatever he wants. He just spitfires whatever the hell he thinks on Twitter. But in all reality, this isn't about the flag. This isn't about America as a whole. It's about the social injustice of how blacks are treated in America in 2020. It's ridiculous. It makes me sick. So, yeah, I think everybody should kneel, and they should do it forever. We're not standing anymore.
Twist topic number 3.
Who is this year's Chris Godwin? For you morons out there, Chris Godwin was an emerging wide receiver for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Will it be Calvin Ridley, DK Metcalf, Deontay Johnson, Anthony Miller? Matt.
I'll go with DK just because I like his quarterback the most out of any of those. So I'll go with DK Metcalf.
I was going to say Metcalf because Russell Wilson and because he's last year you could kind of see towards the last 5-6 games of the season, you can see that Russell Wilson was kind of using him more as that primary target. So kind of going into this year, why wouldn't he take over that role the way Godwin did? So yeah, I go with Metcalf too.
I would tend to agree. I think DK Metcalf's going to be he was the steal of the draft, but with the weapons lost on the Falcons side of the ball, Calvin Ridley's already proved it for a few years that he can, put up yards, put up touchdowns. He's an Alabama guy.
Yep.
When Julio's gone, they know they have their number one. I think DK has probably a close to year that he did last year.
Mhm.
And I think Ridley really emerges. Ridley really emerges. Holy
And
shit.
if you want to compare Evans and Godwin to a duo, Julio and Ridley would be more comparable than Lockett and DK.
Boom.
Twist topic number 4.
Former NBA player Mike Miller is leaving Memphis, Coach Penny Hardaway's staff, after 2 seasons. Was this a harsh decision on his part?
I read the article, and he said that the reason is because he wants to spend more time with his family, which I find interesting because, yes, he is the head recruiter for Memphis, so there's a lot more travel involved in that. It's not like he was actually, the pillar of an NBA franchise. He, jumped around to a lot of different teams, but to say this now when your son is a highly recruited player who's, in the 2021 class coming into college, Memphis has him as, one of their top recruits that they're going after. For him to leave now just seems a little suspicious. Like if you want to be around your kids, maybe when they're younger, I don't know, not when they're going to go off to college.
Yeah. Now keep in mind that their number one prospect that they had on their team going into last season couldn't play the whole season because of, funds and things like that.
Drugs, he was an addict.
Well, yeah, but also
hookers.
they were worried that he had gotten funds to come there or other type of Zion type benefits.
Quan. Got a lot of Quan.
Yeah, so yeah, good for him. He said he wants to stay in basketball in some way, shape, or form, but that's not where he wants to be. He wants to be with his fam. So.
He's a joke. He should be laughed out of Memphis. He's been there 2 years.
Yep.
So why not, when you retire from the NBA, spend time with your family until everybody's out of the house and then go get a coaching job?
Right.
I hope you get shamed out of the NCAA and never allowed back.
Hot take.
How do you really feel?
Hot take.
Twist topic number 5.
What are your thoughts on the NBA's format for a return to B-ball?
Amazing. I think that someone gave the NBA the cheat sheet on how to do this, and they did it right. I mean, think about it. All 3 of us found a way to like this whole thing because you guys don't get Minnesota, taking a chance on winning more games and losing that best chance of getting the number 1 overall pick. And I get the opportunity to have my team at least have a fighting chance at a championship. So they found a way, and they also stayed within the parameters of, we got to be respectful of Corona. So I think that they nailed everything on this.
If you didn't know, Greg's team is the Milwaukee Who Gives a Buck.
There you go.
Matt.
I'm not as big of a fan of it. I'm glad that they're coming back. I'm glad that they have a plan, but I'm not a fan of the play-in for the 8 seeds and up to kind of include them. I think it should have just been the straight 8 on each side. Boom, you guys are in. I understand why they did it. They want to include Zion in the playoffs. That makes complete sense to me, but I'm not as much of a fan of that aspect of it.
I like how they have the playoffs formatted the same. You know, there's been a lot of talk of, well, whoever wins the championship, they're going to have an asterisk. And it's like, the hell they will. You know, the Lakers were going to be a number 1 seed anyway. The top teams are going to be competing in the playoffs.
Correct.
This isn't a win or go home, Michael Blanc. This is the playoffs.
Right.
So whoever wins, it's going to be the same teams that were going to be in it. I'm fired up and I'm ready to get this damn show done.
Wow. All right. For my final thought, today is the 76th anniversary of D-Day. And D-Day, if you look at a calendar, look at a history book, 1944. Pearl Harbor was bombed in December of 1941, 2.5 years before D-Day. Now, there were some events, especially the war in the Pacific, but we didn't bring ground troops into Europe until 2.5 years after Pearl Harbor. We live in a society now where people are getting freaked out after 2 weeks of dealing with Corona. And these people that lived in America back in the 40s dealt with 2.5 years of what is America going to do? What is our grand response going to be? So when I ask people, when we deal with things like Corona, when we deal with injustices, yes, have your voices be heard. Make sure that your opinions are out there, but be patient. Important things take time.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Another episode in the books. Like I said, I'm still jacked up. I think it was the best yet. Smooth! Episode 27.
Later.
No trash.
I made it.
So this sports with a twist, no script. Just coming through on the guest list. Sitting in the solar land in the lakes, food, Green Bay. That's all I gotta say. Got the scope with the rolls, you know we don't play. We get wild every single day. We got our flaws, but we love our saints. Twist Nation, know it like our page.
And share it. Have a good weekend.